if you look at my PowerPoint here, I have 3 salaries and 3 occupations. You can see the salaries. The 3 occupations are the Ohio State men's basketball coach, a police officer, and the head football coach for Stanford University. If I go to the next slide, you'll unfortunately see that the police officer is by far paid the least among the 3 occupations. Having been a massive college football and basketball fan my whole life, I appreciate everything that these coaches do for these programs, but the fact is that they're getting paid too much. I know that these coaches truly do a lot for these respected programs, and that's great, but the fact is there are other occupations and even the players that also deserve to be fairly compensated. Having followed college football and basketball my whole life, I've also done a fair amount of research to be better prepared so that I can give this speech to persuade you into thinking that these college coaches are getting paid too much. Today I'm going to be talking to you about why these coaches' salaries are too high, what they're doing to make this amount of money, and how we could better spread this money in other ways. To start off, I'm first going to be talking to you about why these coaches are making too much money. Now, regardless of everything that these coaches are doing for these programs, like I said, they're making too much money. The first thing that's worth understanding is how much money these coaches really are making. According to USA Today's report on coaches' records going into the 2018-2019 season, Coach John Calipari, who coaches for the University of Kentucky's men's college basketball team, is making $9,276,643 per year. Public school teachers, paramedics, social workers, etc., on average are making 154 times less than Coach Calipari. Take college football, for example. Coach Nick Saban, who was 2018's most expensive head football coach for the Alabama Crimson Tide, made $8,307,000 this past season. Now, I know that not all of these coaches in college basketball and college football are making this amount of money in their initial salaries, but the fact is they're still making plenty of money through what we call extras. According to Brian Curtis, The Men of March, which was written in 2003, and a survey of 2000 to 2001 head coaching salaries, a head coach on average made $115,586 in salary, which does not include many of the extras such as endorsements, camps, television fees, bonuses, and apparel contracts, which can double or triple the base salary. The other problem, perhaps, is that we haven't given enough attention to the fact that some of these coaches are getting paid way too much and they're unsuccessful. Take, for example, the head basketball coach at the University of Utah. Coach Larry Krystkowiak is the 11th highest paid basketball coach in 2018-2019 season. He made $3,572,500 with an underwhelming 17-14 record. With that record, that meant that they were not good enough to make the NCAA Men's Division I basketball tournament, the prestigious tournament, also known as March Madness. That's not even it. Head coaches at Georgia, Illinois, and Missouri also finished with records under 500 and didn't have postseason play, and they made upwards of $2.5 million. It's even worse in college football, with programs such as Nebraska, Florida State, and Illinois paying upwards of $5 million to their coaches when they didn't even have a postseason or a winning record. Now that I've explained to you why these coaches' salaries are too high, I'm going to explain to you why they're getting paid like this. Now, there are 2 things that are responsible for why these coaches are getting paid like this. The fact that they're having to deal with ridiculous expectations, and that they're also looking after their players both as an athlete and as a person. Now, the pressure to perform in collegiate athletics has never been greater than it is today. A quote from Brian Curtis's The Men of March puts expectations bluntly, saying, "They are held accountable for their players graduating, for fundraising, and for garnering community support, yet they are put to the test by the bottom line, wins." When the team loses, you don't get rid of the players, you get rid of the coach. The coach takes the blame. So, coaches are in a lose-lose situation because even if you just win, winning is never enough. When I say this, I mean that win or lose, people are always going to find a decision to disagree with. Even if it's from a diehard fan, a booster, media, or the administration, someone is always going to find something to disagree with. Now, the pressure of winning big games, taking a program to new heights, pleasing the boosters and fans, dealing with the media, these are only a few challenges that these head coaches face in their daily jobs. These coaches are also responsible for looking out for their players, not only as athletes, but also as people. A quote from Brian Curtis's Every Week a Season, published in 2004, talks about the sacrifices that coaches and families make, saying, "When called on, coaches must serve as CEOs, PR gurus, lawyers, politicians, and policemen. We also learn of the sacrifices made by wives and children that enable coaches to keep the numerous young athletes under their supervision focused, secure, and happy." Now that you're aware of why they are paid so much, I'm going to tell you where this money could go instead. With that, I have two ideas. My first idea is that we reconstruct these head coaches' contracts. And my second idea is that we pay the players. First, we could reconstruct the coaches' contracts. What we could do is not make these coaches' salaries so guaranteed. Instead, we can make their contracts performance-based. It really doesn't make sense to pay a coach that isn't getting results and isn't winning, so why would you pay them? With my idea, instead of overloading their initial salary, we make it performance and incentive-based. We cut back on their initial salary. And with this, the coaches that are truly successful in doing the job the right way will be more effectively paid. My second idea is to decrease these head coaches' salaries so that we can pay the players. A 2016 article from Laura McKenna called "The Madness of College Basketball Coaches' Salaries." A quote explains how these salaries have gotten so high. These salaries are so high because unlike the NBA, which gives half of its revenues to its players, colleges don't pay their athletes. This frees up a huge chunk of the $11 billion college basketball industry for coaches. Head coaches, if we decrease these head coaches' salaries and divide the money up among the players, then we will be able to take care of two problems with one solution. We'll bring these coaches' salaries back down to earth, and we'll also take care of these players who are putting in work in the classroom and on the field. In conclusion, although men's Division I basketball and football head coaches do a lot, they're still overpaid. Today I talked to you about why these coaches' salaries are way too high, why they're getting paid like they are, and how to better spread the money that is being made. I found a quote from arguably the greatest college basketball coach of all time in Brian Curtis' book, The Man of March. Coach John Wooden sums it up best, saying, "I don't think a coach should ever be making more money than the president of a university." Thank you.
How are we doing?